Legion Secret Origin number 5, written by Paul Levitz, art by Chris Batista. Left off last issue with the Legion deciding that they had to go into space and help out with the giant wormhole thing, and they thought it was too big of a deal. So Phantom Girl makes the suggestion of, let's go get Superman. And this issue basically opens up with them saying, yeah, now we can time travel. Yep, that's how it is. So they are in the time bubble, Lightning Lad, Cosmic Boy, and Saturn Girl. And they're like, oh my god, I can't believe we're going back to meet Superman. This is going to be so great. So they land and they look outside their time bubble, and there's Clark Kent just walking in his mid-teens through a forest for some reason. And then we cut back to the future, present, however you want to call it, and the security directorate, whatever you want to call it, one of them, Mycroft, like the main guy who we've been following, he's like, all right, something's happening. I think they literally broke time, so I gotta go. So he walks out, and he's going to go talk to Brand about, okay, we need to deal with the Legion thing now because it's actually breaking the laws of time and space. But as he's walking down the hallway, and he has these negative thoughts about like how he should have stopped Brand, and apparently there's some darkness tentacle thing that swirls around him, and he's like, you will bear your soul to me, mortal. I will use the things in your heart in order to take you over, and blah blah blah. And basically just takes over his body and is using him as his own little pawn. So then we cut back to the past. The 3 Legionnaires step out of the time bubble. They're about to go talk to Superman when these weird same black tentacle things show up. They shove them all back into the ship and basically hurl it back through time. So we go back to the year 3000, whatever, the present, I'm going to call it, and they come crashing through a portal. The entire time bubble like explodes on impact. Everyone's okay. There's no damage to any person, but the time bubble explodes. So Brainiac 5's like, my time, but what did you do? And he's like, that's not our biggest concern right now. Something did not want us reaching Superman. And Phantom Girl's like, all right, well, that's a good enough tease as any. So let's not waste any more time with this. We got to still go help with the wormhole, regardless of if we have Superman or not. And then we cut to the wormhole, and it's finally reached the point where giant warships can start coming through. So of course they do. The entire space army, I forget the name of them, is completely outflanked, and they're like, oh no, we're all going to die. But look, there's help on the horizon, and it's the Legion, as they all come flying in. And we get the introduction to Ultra Boy, which apparently has almost all the powers of Superman, but he can only use one at a time. So, whatever. And we see them fighting, and for some reason Phantom Girl is really into Ultra Boy. Like, really into him. So, we cut back to, I guess, Earth, and Mycroft is come to talk to Brand. Invisible kid, lad, boy, whatever his name is like, hey, I'm your, like, security guard right now. You can't just send me away. And he's like, it's with the security doctorate. I'm sure I'll be safe. So he sends Invisible Kid away, and he starts talking to Mycroft. Then we get this whole page that I don't even know what the purpose of is, but Brainiac is basically trying to repair the time bubble, and Invisible Kid walks in, and Brainiac's just being really condescending to him, but Invisible Kid keeps up, like he's able to hold a conversation with him. And then all of a sudden, Brainiac he does that thing where Invisible Kid says the word like synchronized, and then he just has that brain blast moment of course, asynchronous, and then he just runs out of the room shouting Phantom Girl. And that's it. That's all we get of that. So then we see more of the fight at the wormhole. They're, of course, doing fantastically, and they knock out all the ships, and they're just high-fiving everybody. Yeah, we did it! Yay, woo! And that one guy who was the Admiral's son that ended up joining the Legion instead of the Navy or whatever, he calls up his dad, and he's like, hey, glad I could help, from the Legion of Superheroes. And then we get one last page of Brand talking to Mycroft, and Mycroft is basically like, I've always been concerned about your Legion, but now they've been doing stuff that's way beyond you, and I'm here to stop them, as he turns into the big, dark, tentacle monster thing, and Brand is shocked that someone's trying to kill him, despite the fact that's been what the entire book has been. So yeah, that's that. It's okay. It's not. Honestly, this felt like the most focused issue I have had so far of this. Like, it finally felt like we just settled into something and we're doing it. Notwithstanding the part where we went to see Superman. But even that kind of tied into the plot. Like, I feel like we finally have a plot here. It took to the last 2 issues of this miniseries before finally we're like, oh yeah, right. Stories have a beginning, middle, and end. We should get started on that. So I'm okay with this in terms of storytelling. Art-wise, again, fine. It really is just soured from the fact that I had to read 4 issues beforehand of the exact same thing happening like 800 times. Nothing from this beginning part really needed to be here, or at least stretched over 4 issues. I feel like the only thing you needed to be doing was explaining why we keep getting more Legionnaires. The whole thing with the security directorate, the whole thing with this wormhole in space, the whole thing with everything Brainiac has done up to this moment, none of those plots mattered. It's all just what we've gotten that right now. That's it. So why didn't we just start here? You know? And I don't even know how many Legionnaires there are. It's got to be at least a dozen so far. But you can get a dozen covered in like 2 issues. If you really just focused on that and that alone, told it from like a third person omniscient standpoint of just like, and then so-and-so joined, and then so-and-so joined, and they each get like a page or 2 to like map out why they joined, what their own personal reasons are. Again, this is just what I want from the book, beyond whatever this is. But right now we're settled into a plot and I'm happy with that. So for me personally, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5. I know that's probably brought down a lot more from the prior issues, but that's all I can really give it without feeling like I'm being too generous. So I'm looking to see if they can at least do something with the ending, but as I have always said with these Legion books, I am not holding my breath.